Hello everyone, welcome back to the workshop. It was a beautiful sunny day this morning, but as you can probably hear on the roof, normal service has been resumed and it's chucking down with rain here in South Oxfordshire. This video is a few bits and pieces that I've kind of put together, a few little jobs that I needed to get done. One job is on the front forks for Project Stopgap. I wasn't quite happy with the action on one of the fork legs, so I've managed to get another fork lower. So we'll have a look at fitting that. Also, you may recall in my last video, we needed to do something with the lock stops. The forks would hit the fuel tank at full lock, and obviously that's suboptimal. So we're going to do something about that as well. And then the last little job is a carburettor isolator, actually for the D7. I've been messing around with different carburettors and I've decided that I do need a fibre carburettor isolator, so we're going to have a go at making one of those as well. Like I say, it's just bits and pieces that I've cobbled together, so possibly not my greatest video, but I hope that you enjoy it and get something from it. Right, let's get on, do some work. Okay, welcome back everyone. What have I been up to? Not a great deal really. Got a new fork lower for the brake side on Project Stopgap for the B175 forks. And why have I bought this? Well, I wasn't very happy with the one that was on. It was sticking a little bit, which I just thought was maybe a blemish on the inside or maybe a bit of scoring. But I wasn't happy with the way the seal holder screwed on either. It seemed to be a bit stiff and a bit difficult to screw on. So I concluded that it was slightly out of round. And a chance sort of search to see if I could get another one turned up this one. A seller that I'd not used before, a British bike specialist seller on eBay. And yeah, how lucky was that? A B175 brake side heavy duty fork lower. It just happened to be there when I wanted one, so I snapped it up and bought it. I've given it a good clean up, and it's in really good condition. Lovely inside, lovely and clean, no corrosion, not sticking, and the seal holder screws on perfectly. So we're just going to daub it in a bit of paint stripper and get the old paint off so that it's in the same condition as the other one, ready for when we eventually get around to painting the thing. So that's the job for right now. Later on, I'm going to be making a carburettor isolator from this piece of Tufnol. Some people call it Paxlin, but they're both trade names. Tufnol is a trade name anyway. Resin bonded cloth or fibre compacted plastic. Very useful stuff. So I'm going to make a carburettor isolator for the D7. Little resurgence on the D7, even though I said that project was finished. When are they ever finished? So the little Mikuni carburettor that I've been experimenting with doesn't fit terribly well on the flange, so we're going to make a carb isolator to use a gasket either side instead of the O-ring to make it seal a little bit better. Just a bit of a play around really. So let's get some of this stuff daubed on. This is the modern paint stripper, which is next to useless, quite frankly, because they've taken out the active ingredient due to REACH and I guess other international regulations. The methyl chloride, which was the stuff that did the job, is no longer in there. So I don't know what they use now, but it is not as effective. In fact, it's, I don't know, a factor of 10 maybe less effective. You can still get the methyl chloride stuff, but you need to show some industry credentials, which I can do. I am professionally registered, so I could get it, I suppose, but I had this stuff, so I might as well use it up. It does work. You've just got to apply a lot more layers and sort of do it in stages, whereas with the original old-fashioned stuff, as soon as you put it on, the paint was pretty much peeling away. But anyway, we'll do this. Sticking to the paper. We'll do this and see how we get on. And this video is going to be a bit of a bitzer, as you probably realised already. We've got a bit of Stopgap, we've got a bit of D7, and we'll just see how we get on. I don't think I'm going to do too much more tonight. I'm quite tired. I was in London today. Had some business in London, so I had to go down. I decided to drive rather than take the train, which worked out alright. Parked in Shepherd's Bush. I took the tube into central London, but I have to say my car is not very conducive to London traffic. It's a Skoda Superb estate, so it's a bit large for rubbing shoulders with London commuters. But we got in and out, and we're all in one piece, which is the main thing. So we'll let that do its thing for a while, and then we'll give it a scrape off and see how we're getting on. Like I say, we're going to need a couple more applications, but that's the original BSA paint, I would say, on there. It looks like there's just one layer of paint on. The other ones had been, I think, possibly hammerited over the top of the BSA paint, so you know it was a bit of a job, but I think this should be not too bad. Anyway, I'll bring you back when I've done a bit more. We're on application number 3, and yeah, we're not making an awful lot of headway with this stuff. This paint is quite tenacious. I think it must be some sort of enamel, but I'm just sort of scratching away at it with this palette knife, and then I'm going over it with a bit of just your ordinary abrasive Scotch pad type stuff, Scotch Brite. Other makes are available. Yeah, it is proving to be quite a tough job. But we're getting there. We're making some progress. I think when we do the tank, we're definitely going to have to use some better paint stripper, some proper stuff. We definitely need to strip the tank right back, because I think chances are under all that paint there will be a couple of tins of gob, a couple of tins of body filler, gob as we call it sometimes over here, if you're watching overseas. But yeah, I think it'd be a miracle if we don't find filler in the fuel tank, but we shall see. Right, we're getting somewhere with it, but it is fairly laborious, so I'm going to crack on with that, and I'll bring you back when I'm done, and we'll have a look at that Carburettor Isolator. That's got most of it off. It's had a bit of a go on the wire wheel as well, just to get some of the sort of more stubborn bits off, but there we go, down to the bare metal, and that'll get a wash off as well in the parts washer, just to get any sort of paint stripper out of any holes or threads or anything like that. Make sure there's none lingering, and that'll do us until we come to paint it, and then I'll get a good rub down with wet and dry primer, and then painted. But yeah, that's that job done. So we'll move on, I think. Right, I've got the forks back together, and yeah, our new fork lower is very good. The seal holder threaded on by hand. I've not gone all the way down. It went a little bit tight, but it will tighten up with a strap wrench, so nothing to worry about there. You'll notice that I've refitted the fuel tank, or I've fitted the fuel tank, and I thought we'd have a go at the lock stops as well. Maybe make a start on it, at least in this video, which is turned into a bit of a bits and bobs video, but there you go. It's just odd jobs that I can get done and get them out of the way. At the moment, we've got contact between the fuel tank and the forks, which is no good. If you recall that picture of Irene Draper's bike, she had indents in her tank so that she could get more steering lock. And being a very competitive trials rider, no doubt she could make use of it, but I don't think it's a bit late for me. I think I don't think I'm going to be that in need of that much lock. So I'm just going to make it so that the lock stops contact when the center of the fork tube on the outside is in line with the center of the headstock. And somebody, I can't remember who it was, might have been Mike Waller, might have been Sammy Miller, whoever it was someone that knows a lot more about building trials bikes than me, said that that was an ideal situation. If you could get the this fork leg in line with the headstock on full lock, you were about right. And we have room between the tank, so that's the way we're going to do it. Now, I had thought about making some sort of an adjustable setup with threaded arrangement with bolts that screw out. Then I thought, I'm just overcomplicating it and making things that I don't need. Let's just get a piece of plate on there and make sure that the forks won't welly the tank, and we'll call that a win. I can't get it all the way over there because the bench is in the way, so I'll just have to move it in the vise, but we'll measure on this side, and then we'll just measure on the other side to confirm. And I've got a couple of steel rules. I've got some packing foam to wedge between the tank and the fork stanchion. And hopefully, well, that's actually a little bit too far. And we might have to double up on this. That one's a little bit thicker, I think. Let's try that. I think that might be about right, actually. Well, that's on the center at the outside of the fork leg. It's a little bit far. So, let's... I'm conscious of the fact that I've got to be able to get in there to do the measurements. That's more like it, actually. If I can press against it whilst I measure, if I grow an extra couple of arms, we might be onto a winner. So I'm going to do some measurements. I'm going to get in the way. I do apologise. Don't know how I'm going to hold my torch in there. Will it magnet on? Might just about magnet onto the fork spring. The magnet's not very strong. And I'm going to use one steel rule against the existing lock stop, and I'm going to try to measure up to the flat face of that steel rule with the other one. And I know this to be about 1/2 mil thick, so we'll just correct the measurements accordingly and add an extra 1/2 millimeter. But I do apologise. I am going to get in your way. I'm going to take my glasses off because I can't see very well. I should have put the other ones on. And yeah, I'm going to have to move the light because I can't really see what I'm doing. I can't read the scale. Oh, he didn't think about this, did he? Oh, it's all going wrong, people. It's all going wrong. Well, it's entertainment value if nothing else. Right. I might just be able to peer over the top of that. You're not going to get to see much, I'm afraid. You're just going to have to trust me on this one. No. I'll tell you what, let me see if I can find a better setup than this, and I will bring you back, and you don't have to watch my drafting competence. Right, hopefully the buffoonery has ceased. We've got the, I've cut the foam down. We've got 2 pieces of foam masking taped to the fuel tank. We've got the lamp. This is a light that works in various different guises. So the lamp on the end is illuminated at the moment. It's magnetized to the fork leg, and I'm only going to use one steel rule. I'm going to come in through here. I'm just going to put some pressure on that to compress the foam a little bit, get me in the right position, and then I'm going to attempt to read it through here. They just there we go. I get it as straight as I possibly can, and I'm getting about 4.5 millimeters. Yep. Just try hand holding the lamp. Right, so that's, I'm going to call it 5 millimeters. So we want, let me get you a bit closer in so that you can see what's going on. Excuse the wobble. You're used to it by now, aren't you? Right. So here is the stop. It's basically a triangular shaped piece of steel, or a V-shaped piece of steel that is welded to the front of the frame down tube, and that's all it is. And the flat surface here on the bottom yoke is supposed to just go in there and knock against it. But obviously we've got this tank on, we've got different forks, and you know, we're never going to get all the way in there, so we just need to build that up. We're going to put another piece of plate on underneath it, because if you recall, when I put the taper roller steering head bearings in, it dropped the lower yoke by a couple of millimeters, and it was just missing the lower edge of the stop plate. So it needs to be lower anyway, and it just needs to stick out by another 4.5 or 5 millimeters. And I actually looked at the D7, and with the standard steering head bearings, with the ball bearings, I have to say the yoke only just contacts this plate at the very, very edge. And you can see, I don't know if you can see that on this one, you can see the witness mark where when this bike was on the road, the original forks were contacting, and it's right on the edge. You've got all this metal up here, and your contact area is about 0.5 millimeter at the very, very edge of the very lower edge of the plate. So we're going to improve it no matter what we do. So that's hopefully going to be another job that we'll do during the video. So there we go. Okay, let me get you up to speed. I've made the new stop plate, or lock stop plate if you like, and I've just tacked it 2 places onto the old lock stop plate. It was a bit tricky. I had to use a long nose vice grip, and only just was able to get hold of it. Now, whilst I was filming what would have been this clip, I noticed that the microphone battery, the microphone receiver battery was dead, so I was recording without audio. So I've had to delete that clip and re-record this bit. Unfortunately, I deleted the previous clip where I cut this out of a piece of 4mm plate and tacked it on. So I guess you're kind of getting used to it by now. That's gone, so this is where we are. We've hacksawed this thing and filed it up out of a piece of 4mm, tacked it on with TIG, and I've only tacked it because if for some reason I've made a hash of these measurements, which I don't think I have, but you just never know, I want to be able to get it off again. And then I will eventually TIG braze it once we're all satisfied and we're happy that it's in the right place. So let me just get in here with a steel rule and see what we've gained. We wanted 5mm. Take my glasses off because I've got the wrong ones on. So we've got about 5.5 there, which is good because I left 0.5mm trim allowance on there when I cut it out. What have we got there? Yeah, about the same, about 5.5. So we're in a good place really, providing I got the measurements right in the first place. If it's too much, we can always trim it down a little bit, just file it up a little bit. If it's not enough, then we could have a problem. I suppose I could always build it up, but I think it'd be easier just to knock out another one. But hopefully, we're on the money. So I'm going to flip everything over, reassemble the forks, and then we'll have a look and see how much lock we've got, and make sure that we clear the tank. So bear with me, and I'll get it all back together. Okay, everything's back together, and a little bit of a win. We can go lock to lock, and we're off the tank. We're slightly uneven. When we come over to this side, as if we are turning to our right, we've got a bigger gap here. I can quite easily get my fingers between the stanchion and the tank. And on this side, can't get my fingers between. But there is more than enough of a gap. Quite how that's happened, I don't know, because we gained exactly 5.5mm on each side. Something's obviously slightly out somewhere, but I'm not going to worry about it too much. What I might do is just take a little bit off this side, just to make them even, because if I look at that, I mentioned about the stanchions being in line with the centre line. Actually, I'm going off the edge of the stanchion here, so I'm just eyeballing it, and that is probably about half a stanchion's width off centre, so that's probably about right. And then on this side, let's have a look, do the same again. Yeah, it's rough and ready, just eyeballing it. So the edge of the stanchion is probably on the centre of the headstock tube. So that's going over a bit further. But having said that, let me just, again, very roughly eyeball. Got about 5mm gap that I can see. Obviously that's not accurate. I'm not sort of using a slip gauge or anything like that. And then on this side, what have we got? Yeah, near a 10. So, two options. Leave it as it is because we've got clearance, and I would say we've probably got enough steering lock. Or just take a little bit more off this side and just even it up. But that's easy enough to do. And the the part of the stanchion, the part of the lower yoke with the lock, you know, the area that hits the lock stop is hitting dead center on our new plate. So that's a really, really nice improvement. Let's have a look on this side, get a light. Yep, about the same. So that's good. We're not right on the edge of the locking plate or anything like that. So, going to leave that for now. I may, as I say, just dress that up with a file and get a little bit more on this side, or not. But I will eventually TIG braze it to make it nice and secure. And that's another little job crossed off the list. These minor little jobs, they all need to be done, and that's one more done. Right, had a bit of a clean up of the workshop, and now we're going to get on to this Carburettor Isolator. I've already got one off this D10 barrel, so that'll give us a bit of a steer, but I want to keep this one with this barrel and make another one for the D7. So, as I say, we've got something that will give us a bit of a steer, but if we didn't have that, we could just take measurements, which is what I'll do. I'll go through taking the measurements. It's pretty rudimentary. Most of you will probably wonder why I'm doing it, but you never know, it might help somebody out. So, got a D10 barrel, which I'm going to use to get the measurements. Got my piece of phenolic resin material, which I put some masking tape on, so that we can mark out some lines with a pen. Got a pen that I'm hoping that you can see the marking out on the camera. Steel rule. Set of cheapo digital calipers. Should be all we need, really. I could just draw around this, couldn't I, and it'd be done. But like I say, if you haven't got one, you know, you can still figure it out. You could use the carburettor flange if you really wanted to, and just add a bit of trim allowance. Or you can just mark out the centres, put some datums in for where you want the edges to be, and just draw it out. So I think we'll use a combination of techniques. See where it gets us to. It's a pretty simple make, but yeah, I've said that now, haven't I? I'll probably make a mess of it. But anyway, let's get on and do it. So the first thing we want is the stud centers. So I'm getting about 58.5 outside edge to outside edge. I'll make a note of that on my convenient bit of paper. 58.5 millimeters, and then we just need to subtract the diameter of one of them. I think these come out at 8 millimeters. I mean, obviously they're imperial, but 7.9. We'll call it 8, just for ease. So that gives us 58.5 minus 8, 50.5 millimeters. And then zero out your thing. Right, let's set this to 50.5. And just double check we're about there. Yeah, that's pretty much spot on. So 58.5, and then we'll put our intake bore slap bang in the middle. So now we need to know how tall to make it. You know what? Let's just use a steel rule. I'm going to say 41, 42. Let's just double check. Yeah, 41.9. So I'm going to call it 42. And I'm going to add a couple of mil, probably a mil each side for trim allowance, so that when we sand it to shape, we've got plenty of room for error. So 42, let me make a note of that, 42 millimeters height, and then length. Don't really need to know, do we? We can just add some land on the end of our bolt holes. But let's measure it anyway, just to say we have. .6 length. Okay, cool. Right. Do some measurements. So half of 42 is 21. Like I say, we'll add a mil trim allowance. So we'll put this in at 22. Oh, just need to grab the square. I forgot it. Come here. Put a line in there. Close enough for government work. What kind of land do we want on the end? On the centre of our hole. Well, that's about 8, so we'll call it 10. Again, give ourselves some room for adjustment. What did we say? 50.5. Let's mark it out with this thing. Like I say, you can do it with your steel rule. I'm just kind of illustrating, using what you've got to hand, basically. So we can put that on there like that. We can mark it like that. And then we'll mark that with our marker pen so we can see our centres nice and clearly. So we want 25.25. There we go. And we can just idiot check ourselves. Looks pretty spot on. So, drill some holes over at the BMC, and then we can mark out the outline, cut it out, sand it down, make it look pretty, and Bob's your auntie's living lover, as they say. What do they say? Okay, we're up on the BMC, and I've just got it taped to a piece of wood. I can move the piece of wood around, not messing around with clamping it down or anything like that. I'm just going to use it like a drill press, really, and Immediate problem is the camera is in the way of the quill handle, so I'm going to have to just move you. So bear with me whilst I move you along a little bit. There you go. Yep, should be alright there. Right, drill a hole, make it a bit bigger, drill another hole, make it a bit bigger, and then we'll figure out the centre hole, which needs to be 30 millimeters. These bolt holes are 3/8, so I'm going to drill them to 8 millimeters for clearance, and that will be perfectly good for what we need to do. And let's get on and do one. I've got the vacuum cleaner on hot standby. This phenolic resin, not particularly pleasant stuff to be breathing in. We don't need to be frightened of it. It's not radioactive, but yeah, we just take precautions not to breathe it in. Okay, so we're through there. I'm just going to do them one at a time, drill them out, and what I'll do is I'll bring it back when I'm ready to do the centre hole, because I think we're going to have to use a step drill for that, but we're going to have to jack our piece of wood up a little bit to give it clearance underneath, because we don't particularly want to step drill through the table, which will be a bad day out. So let me just crack on with it. Right, I'm going in with the step drill now. I've got the lump of wood up on 2 V-blocks. It's as accurate as it needs to be. I mean, if you wanted to really go for it and clamp everything down, you could do. I've got 2 engineer's toe clamps on the workpiece, just in case the tape doesn't hold with the rotation of the step drill. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the microphone off, because I'm using the vacuum cleaner as a extraction device, and it is really noisy, so you won't hear anything other than the vacuum cleaner, and it might make your ears bleed. So we're going to go quiet, and but I'm going to continue filming. Okay, hopefully you can hear me again. That's that particular job over, and I'll take everything apart, we'll get it back over to the bench, and we'll carry on from there. Okay, pretty good. Bit of an edge at the back there, but I'll take that off with the deburring tool. I've already just run a large drill bit just to break the burrs in there in the stud holes. I'll just do the same with that with the trusty deburring tool. Redo the masking tape, and we'll move on to our next phase. Right, let's have a look how we've done. Move that out of the way. There was quite a burr on the inside of the 30mm hole. It almost looked tapered, but once I knocked the burr off with the deburring tool, it was nice and parallel. And these two holes here, absolutely fine. Deburred with a larger drill bit, and we got our centres and our large hole in line, so that's always good. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to draw around this with a fairly thick marker so that I get an oversized part, and which is what I want really. I want it to be a little bit bigger than this, and then I'm going to chop that out with probably just by hand. I'll just use a fret saw. I'll probably do that outside, I think, and then just bring it down to final shape with the sanding drum, and that'll be our finished part. So I'm going to go away and do those bits now, and then I shall bring it back, show you the finished object. So see you in a few minutes. So this is what we've ended up with. Our Carburettor Isolator. Far from perfect, but I just did it by eye. What more do you need? And the proof of the pudding, I suppose, is if it fits, which it does. So we're going to get that into use on the D7. The intake bore on the D7 is actually a little bit smaller, but it doesn't make any difference. It will still work. Yeah, the radii could have been matched, but again, done by eye, you make it as accurate as you need it to be. I finished it off, well, I cut it out with the battery-powered jigsaw. I did it outside, and then I got it roughly to shape with a sanding drum in the drill, and then just draw filed it by hand, just to get it nice and parallel and reasonably symmetrical. I did have a go with this thing. It's one of these vibrating multi-tools. It's got a sanding attachment. I absolutely despise this thing, and this is why. Stand by. It just makes the most awful noise. So I abandoned that thing. I cut it out of the deal because it was not very effective and just way too annoying. And the sanding drum and a hand file were perfectly adequate. So I think that's it. I think that's all the little jobs done for this video. So we will end here. Okay, that's a few more little jobs done. Time's been against me just recently, so I'm really pleased to get those done. As ever, thanks for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing, those of you that have. New subscribers, welcome. I hope you like what we're doing here. And those of you that have been with me for a while, I really appreciate you sticking with me. If you're not subscribed, and we are getting close to 1,000 subscribers now, please do consider hitting the button and ringing the bell, and we will be beamed to your pocket or whatever device you use to view videos as soon as we put out a new video. So won't cost you a shilling, and do consider giving us a go. I think on the next video we're going to have a look at the fuel tank. I need to get the paint off and see how much filler there is under there. I'm suspecting that there's probably going to be a bit of rot as well, which we'll have to deal with. We will do some chemistry and get rid of the rust, and probably do chemical liner as well, just to make sure that it's serviceable going forward. So looking forward to getting stuck into that, and I'll see you then. Mind how you go. Bye for now.